Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be kind of doing a first impressions of these Azure markers, which I got from Walmart. Alcohol-based markers from Walmart. You heard me right. And the best part is that they were only $9.50. 52 if you want to be like really exact and particular. So the first thing to note about these markers is that one side has a bullet nib, while the other side is a chisel tip. Now, some people would really kind of hate this because brush markers are really they're very, effective. But for me personally, in the artwork that I do, I don't mind not having a brush nib. In this video, I plan to do a swatch test as well as put up these markers against a Winsor Newton Pro marker and a Copic. So let's go ahead and get to it. And then at the very end, I'm going to do a pretty, the ultimate test when it comes to an art supply and make an artwork with these Azure markers. So here are all 11 colors swatched out on marker paper, and then the 12th color is actually a colorless blender, which has a different body color than the others, as you can see here. I think the main takeaway from the swatch is that I realized, it's a pretty good color selection for like a single pack, a starter pack. But in general, I would like there to be something a little bit closer to a skin tone. The one brown that's in there is kind of poopy, to say the least, and then the orange is very, very vibrant orange. And so there's really just not a good middle ground. The camera right now really isn't picking up the vibrance of these colors. Like, they are bright, I am telling you. But other than that, I think for a starter pack, this is pretty good overall. The darkest brown and the black are a little too close for me personally. I feel like that 11th color could have gone to maybe a pink shade, a lighter purple. But, overall, not mad. Now that we've swatched the colors, I'm going to really put these markers against the Winsor Newton and the Copic for price, general fill in terms of how streaky it is, blending two colors together, a fine liner that is alcohol based, I'll be using Micron pens for that, and a fine liner that is water based, and I'll be using a Pilot G2 pen for that, and then finally how the jelly roll goes over top. I found that while I was doing this, I was rambling on a bit more than I would have liked to, which is why I'm re-recording everything as a voiceover. So I'm going to start off with all of these blue shades. I try to get as close to shades as I could in all of them. Honestly, I'm very pleasantly surprised with how the Azure markers turned out for the price point. It blended very well with its shade of blue, the lighter blue that I chose. I wanted to give it the best fighting chance and gave it something in its own color family to blend into. Also, I did the math, and these range about 79 cents per marker, which was astounding compared to Copics that can go upwards of $6 to $7. So as I did over the fine liner, there was no bleeding at all in either category, which I was actually kind of surprised that the water-based ones didn't bleed at all. But maybe it's just because I'm not patient enough when it comes to waiting for them to dry. And this time I actually did wait for them to dry. Yeah, so here I am going with my Winsor Newton. I kind of noticed once I started with my Winsor Newtons, I've had this particular set of blue markers for 3 years now, almost 4 now, and so I noticed that they were kind of drying out, which is normal, I've used them a lot. So I try and blend it with a light blue, but the marker frankly is just dry. So in a second you'll see that I end up actually doing two different pink tones of colors with some of my newer markers, and do a new blend, just to prove to you that they do in fact blend. So here's me going in with a coral and a pinky blush tone. As you can see, they blend very well together. Like, there's no line or seam at all. Solid. Love Winsor & Newton. Very biased. Obviously, I'm so biased to the point that I went and did an extra swatch for you guys. Alright, so let's get into the Copic marker. These Copic markers, I admittedly don't own a lot. I only have like 6 or 7 Copic markers that were bought for me. I didn't actually buy them myself. And so they're all very, very dark, saturated colors, which there's nothing wrong with that. It just tends to not fall into what I use, so I don't use them very much. This was actually kind of an experiment for me as well, just to kind of like see what I could do with my Copic markers. The Copic markers do have brush pen nibs on them, which it leads to their higher price point, and that's probably why the Azure markers can afford to be 79 cents a marker. For whatever reason, that brush nib costs the money. So yeah, here I am kind of struggling to blend in these two colors. They're both so dark, and it becomes this kind of black shadow where the two colors overlap. The jelly roll took a second to warm up, but as expected, it worked just fine over all of them. Really nothing to say there. But, you know, in the off chance that something happened, I wanted to test it out for you guys. So my final thoughts on these markers is that OMG, they did really good, and I'm also cringing at how I just said OMG in a situation where I'm not texting. So, but yeah, they really did good. They passed all of the tests, honestly. They blended, they went over the fine liners, they weren't streaky whenever you put a big block of color down, and that's basically what all the other markers did too. Like I said, my only complaint is like the color selection. So I have gone and Googled since I recorded this originally, and there are a few other color packs of it on Amazon, slightly more expensive than I found the pack that I have from Walmart, but still, compared to Winsor & Newton, still definitely on the lower end of markers, which, you know, sounds great to me. And I wish I had known about these markers when I was first starting, so that like I didn't have to go in and invest $30 in markers. I can instead invest $9 and get 12 markers rather than 30 and get 6, you know what I mean? So now it's time to really go in and just do this drawing. I did it beforehand because this isn't about drawing, it's about testing the markers. It's Micron fine liners on a Strathmore marker paper, you know, usual stuff. I did something that had both a figure and landscape in order to really test out the markers in both situations. But yeah, I'm gonna try and use only the Azure markers as much as possible, and I'm probably gonna have to give her unnatural skin tone because there's just no good skin tone options in the color pack. So you know what, I think we're ready to get started. So my final review on these markers, I do think they work pretty much the same as pro markers. They're really juicy and very vibrant. I think my main complaint is the color selection. If I can find different color packs online, then I'll be like good to go. I tend to like to use more, I don't know, pastel colors and stuff. So I did find myself a little disappointed. You know, I didn't have a lot of colors that would be good for highlights, so I had to stick to using my gel pen a lot. And I almost feel like I overdid the gel pen, but I really didn't have any option. And those few places you do see I have like really light colors, those were for markers I already own. But in general, I think as a starter marker, you know, you just want to get in, you want to try it out, I would recommend these. Considering the price point, I mean, you got nothing to lose, man. So I definitely made a lot of mistakes on this, but I hope you enjoyed watching, and thank you very much. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to check out the description to find links to all of the products that you saw in this video. Also, make sure to check out my social media icons so you can follow me on Instagram, and check out my website where I sell stickers for a pretty low price and free shipping. So, anyway, thank you for watching. Subscribe, check out my other videos. Until next time.